Meet Erica Hupp, Public Affairs Staff Officer with the Fremont-Wenema National Forest.
I really enjoy being here, and the job is just really challenging.
I'm Steve Coffey, and this is Take 5 on News Talk 1110 KBND.
I am a career public affairs person, and I've traveled all over the United States with different jobs. I started off as a news reporter in Miles City, Montana, and when my parents, after 4 years, told me that I needed to get a real job, I got into public affairs and ended up down in Kansas City working for a kit-built helicopter company for a couple of years, and over at the Kansas City International Airport as a public affairs person. And then I took the big jump and ran my own public affairs department at the Colorado Springs Airport.
But you also were involved somehow with NASA.
Yes, I had been applying for the Forest Service when I worked as a news reporter, and starting at 23, I've been applying for the Forest Service. I always found that it helped me when I'm mad at my boss if I would apply for jobs, made me feel better. So one day I was mad at my boss and was going to find a Forest Service job to apply for, and ran across the NASA job and thought, well, it would be a great topic of discussion if I could tell my friends, oh yeah, I applied for a job at NASA. And I did, and they called me.
So that makes it even more interesting topic of discussion with your friends. Not only did you apply, but you got the job with NASA.
Yeah, I'm a Midwest girl. Although my relatives live on the East Coast, so that was my first trip. I went to NASA in Washington, D.C. I've never lived in a city that big, ever. So I spent 2 years working for NASA. I started out with the shuttle program, and they had an opening up in what we called the Space Science Mission Directorate. And they asked me if I would go down there because they knew I liked to multitask. And so I went down to that directorate, and I did public affairs for space science, the universe, the sun, earth science, and that kept me busy. So I did a lot of stuff with the Hubble Space Telescope, the Mars rovers, a lot about Earth, global warming, climate change, and then certain projects with the sun. So I always did something different. So it was much more exciting than the shuttle, because everyone thinks that, oh, how could you leave being a public relations person for the shuttle program? And I said, well, you never knew what you're going to work on that day, and there was always something different.
How did you get to the Fremont-Wenema National Forest then? You get mad at your boss again?
No, I was, during the time I was there, I was not even there a year when NASA was involved in a political issue, but it was something that only you would experience in Washington. Here, I'm finding I still work long hours, but the benefits are just so much more. I get to go hiking, fishing, kayaking. I get to live out in the country, enjoy and have a lot more downtime than I did in D.C.
So you're not mad at your boss yet?
No, no, I'm not mad at my boss. In fact, I love her to death, and she's challenging me, and that's what I like to do. I have some of the best stories to tell from working for NASA. In fact, my favorite story is we had a story that we were embargoed to the news agency. We had a TV station in Florida kind of promoted that they were going to tell the story the next day when it was released to be embargoed, and they kind of suggested that we had found life on Mars, and then at our office, everything, all hell broke loose, and we had congressional staffers and senators and congressmen calling us, finding out why they weren't told first that we had found life on Mars, and I had media people calling me and asking me when the little green men were going to get to Earth.
What you had found was some indication that there was material there conducive to life on Mars.
Yes, you're correct. It was conducive, but the way that it was promoted, it sounded like we found life on Mars.
Erica Hupp, a Midwest gal who has been to the big city, but is now enjoying life with the Fremont-Wenema National Forest and a home in Klamath Falls.
I really like it. In fact, a funny story, I took the job sight unseen. I only saw Klamath Falls on the internet. Klamath Falls was a lot more than I thought it was going to be, and it's been a great experience.
I'm Steve Coffey. Take 5 is a presentation of 1110 KBND Radio News. Depend on us.